Hello and welcome to Banking Frontiers Live for this wonderful session on Finnovation, the Finnovation Maestro. This is an interesting conversation series Banking Frontiers has started, powered by Amazon. And we are going to talk to some of the leaders in the financial services sector who have been really innovating day in and day out and bringing some of these interesting innovations to realities. Today, I am going to introduce you to a very interesting guest whose name is Sandeep Chordia, who is the Chief Digital Officer and President at Kotak Securities. Sandeep, welcome to Banking Frontiers Live and to this interesting conversation.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. Thank you very much, Balaji.
Great, Sandeep. Let us learn a little bit about innovation from your side today. So, Sandeep, you have been in the center of digital transformation in the last few months. I'm sure you have also witnessed the kind of transformation that is taking place. So, what are some of these recent innovations that you have worked with and that Kotak Securities as an organization has brought to accelerate its transformation in the recent times?
Thanks for inviting. And I'll just start. So, how it happened. So, I think during these COVID times, there were uncertain times, but I think it accelerated our digital journey. So, post COVID, a lot of things have changed per se for Kotak Securities. So, just to share the perspective with you, pre COVID to now, the volumes have almost gone 3x for Kotak Securities. Mobile, especially, is up by 5x in just 1.5 years time. So that is a growth we have seen post COVID. And obviously more and more people are moving towards the digital platforms for doing their transactions. And that necessarily means you have to take care of all the journeys, the UI UX part of it, and also ensure the stability of the system at the same time. As you understand, the stock market and the broking industry is all based on volatility, and all trades have to happen in a fraction of a second. The trade has to go through the order and risk management system and goes to the exchange, and it goes back. So it requires a very rock solid platform, rock solid technology behind it to make sure that the experience of the customer is very, very seamless. So we have been working on our digital transformation journey, and I'm happy to share that we did a lot of things in last 2 years as far as the digital innovation is concerned. So obviously we moved to the cloud. So we have moved from on-prem to the on-cloud services as much as possible, which means even if there is a lot of load, the system is able to take care of by auto spinning the servers, etc. We moved from monolithic to microservice architecture. We moved to complete DevOps with CI/CD pipeline, and now we are completely on the agile way of working. So that has been the transformation actually in last 2 years, which you have been able to achieve, which helps basically roll out all our features in a piecemeal manner, but in a faster manner. So our shipping now happens almost on a weekly basis. So you will see a new version of the app coming almost every week, and that gives us a lot of insight into how fast the customer can see the features, whatever get rolled out, get the feedback, etc. So that has been an exciting journey for us in last, I'll say 1.5 year from the time the COVID has set in.
I would like to introduce our second guest for today in today's conversation. His name is Kiran Jagannath, and he is heading the financial services business at AWS. Kiran, welcome to Banking Frontiers Live to this wonderful conversation on Finnovation Maestros.
Good morning, Babu. Good morning, Sandeep. Good to have this conversation with both of you.
Thank you very much, Kiran. One thing was very clear that Sandeep was mentioning is any of these innovations have to be built on a very strong and very hybrid kind of infrastructure and a platform which can help them to scale up. How is AWS seeing this constant evolution in the capital market, and what are those interesting perspectives that you are adding, especially from the capital markets perspective?
I think, Babu, if you heard what Sandeep said, right, and this is true of every industry, but change is the only constant, right? And capital markets is no exception. And I was picking on some of the themes that Sandeep was talking about, right? Like complexities are rising, cost of compliance is rising, And more than ever, there is a need for innovation. And it's not just products, but experiences as well, right? I think that's what Sandeep was alluding to, where there's this good amalgamation and collaboration between, firms like Kotak and other fintechs and what they can deliver to the customers. And a lot of these are also happening because people are entering capital markets for the first time. I mean, it was great, Sandeep. Congratulations, 5x increase in the last 2 years. I think it's phenomenal growth, and that's across the industry, right? And not just new customers coming in, new challenges are coming in, and they're disrupting it through their mobile first experiences, right? So all this requires a deep rethink and focus on innovation, and I think that's where companies like us can come in and become a catalyst and an enabler, right? And our founder Jeff Bezos once said, "Customers are divinely discontent, right? Their expectations are never static; they only go up." So this is not just a one-time thing. I think the innovation is not a one and done. Um, Companies like Kotak and everybody else, it needs to, and including ourselves, right? We need to be constantly innovating. And what we offer our customers is just that, the ability to scale very efficiently, right? So increase speed to market, drive innovation by making it extremely cost effective, right? I mean, in the past, it was budget that had to be necessarily set aside for innovation, right? But as we drive efficiencies, what we're doing is enabling some of these cost reductions that can now go back to feeding some of these innovations that these companies are driving.
Interesting. Good thoughts, Kiran. And I think you encapsulated it and how organizations are scaling down. And low latency trading is basically something that is, the need of the hour for most of these organizations to accelerate their profitability and their businesses with the customers. How have you bringing down the latency, especially with your infrastructure? How do you work on this?
The first and foremost is basically the choice of platform we offer to our customers, right? We don't have this thought process of doing a one size fits all, whether it comes to compute or whether it comes to the databases that we make available. There is significant choices that we make available to our customers, and these are choices based on specific needs that the customer is trying to solve for. So these are purpose built to solve for specific customer problems, and that's what sort of helps reduce some of the inefficiencies. Similarly, there are various other options available to customers in terms of local zones that bring the compute much closer to where they want to be. Some of the things we've done, for example, we announced this in the US, where NASDAQ offered local zones of AWS available within the exchange itself. Now, these are all driving significant reduction in latencies as the trading companies work with the exchanges to, complete their broking transactions.
How do you see this industry moving, say, 5 years from now? And what would the industry require to make sure that you get that accelerated pace of growth, which you are looking at in the years to come?
Yeah, so I think, again, Babu, a lot of things have already changed. If you look at in broking now, the significant share of the market is with the discount brokers. So I think that is now the writing on the wall, that industry will see the emergence of discount broker or prominence of discount brokers more and more. The consolidation phase is already happening, where I think small time brokers are all tying up with the large brokers, etc. So I think you will see a further significant consolidation happening. You will see probably top 10 players controlling about 60-70% of the market. And yeah, more or less, I think everyone is moving from earlier physical model to a digital model. For Kotak itself, now more than 90% of the volume is traded online. When I say online, means the customer completes his entire journey without a need of any physical person trying to assist the customer in completing the trade. I think that will further get accelerated. Yes, the HNIs may still require some physical assistance, etc. But by and large, I think the things are changing and people are comfortable doing their transactions because now they have the mobile in their hand. And if you have a good simple journeys for the customer, then I think it's easy for the customer on the move to complete this transaction. A lot of youngsters are coming in, so average age of the customers or the median age of the customers, what you have, I think is continuously coming down every year. I think now 18 is a bar, so yeah, people above 18 open the account, but I think that maybe you will say the median age will fall down to 20 in next 4 to 5 years time, because a lot of youngsters want to experiment. They want to look at all kind of financial asset, not just investing in shares, but can it be basket of shares? Can it be exchange traded funds? Can it be a mutual fund SIP? So people want to experiment with a lot of things and have the access on the move. So I think that is what the industry is moving out for. And as far as the what do you expect from the overall, I will say is some sort of regulatory intervention, basically to see how do you basically get still this number up. I think still the penetration in tier 2, tier 3 cities not that as what you may expect. And there are some challenges in terms of understanding English as a language. So can you move more and more towards the vernacular way of communicating in the language which the customer understands? I think a lot of fintech partnerships will help in basically bringing that experience closer to the person, what he understands. That is where I think probably if I have to crystal ball, I think these are the some of the trends I see which will happen in next 4 to 5 years time.
So if I may ask Kiran, how are you trying to create the foundation of the future for the financial services sector? How is AWS working towards facilitating this?
Again, I'll go back and base the premise of my response on what Sandeep talked about, because that's exactly what we do. We always work from the customer backwards. So Sandeep really captured a lot of the things that are required, right? First, you must have heard him say a lot about ecosystem and fintechs, right? So that's absolutely true. What we see is also this entire industry, and so are the other verticals as well, whether it is banking or insurance. It's becoming an API driven ecosystem, as in you form a lot of partnerships, and then you communicate between each of these partners through a whole bunch of APIs. He talked about the median age becoming lower to 22. That just means scale. Again, 5x is what he saw in the last 2 years. I'm guessing the next 2 years is going to be probably a bigger factor than that, right? So how are we helping customers scale efficiently? That's the second one. Third, all this, I mean, the experiences that Sandeep was talking about, right? Whether it is mobile first experience, which is bringing everything to mobile, but understanding who your customers are and offering them something different. I think 2 examples Sandeep gave was one, he talked about when you might be looking at an application started with Infosys, but somebody else might be looking at Reliance. And then he also talked about, nudges that are there to help the customers continue and complete their journeys. All this requires massive amounts of data that you need to have, and you need to, in real time, sort through, look through, and come up with these nudges that require significant capabilities in AI ML, right? And I think that is where AWS is committed to democratizing data for all our customers. We are ensuring that you don't need to be a data scientist now to leverage the power of data and AI ML, and with tools like SageMaker, which our customers use, right? We are taking the heavy lifting of data preparation, model management, and execution, that burden off of our customers so that they can focus on the outcomes that these models are driving. And these are fast becoming the tools that our customers are using to differentiate themselves. Whether, Sandeep, I don't know if you mentioned the time Kotak reduced. I think the onboarding time, keep me honest here, Sandeep, were reduced to 6 minutes for a customer to get on the application, complete the application, and start trading, right? I mean, that requires a whole bunch of different abilities, optical character recognition, NLPs, to make it completely end-to-end digital, and including eKYC and video KYC and such. So there's a whole plethora of solutions that are now, things that you in 2 years or even 4 years back, you would not have, envisioned that this was going to become the norm, right? Not just a fancy that's there on the side, but something that's becoming front and center. And this is purely being enabled through technologies that we are making available for many people to use, right? That's what I call as democratizing data, right? So everybody is now able to use it. Everybody is able to leverage AI/ML. And Sandeep talked about regulatory pressures, right? That's where the explainable AI and such concepts become more important. It's not so much about just using the technology because now it is easier to use it, but how do you then explain yourself to the regulator? And some of the innovations we have brought to the fore in terms of explainable AI is helping our customers sort of realize their vision in terms of what the future looks like. And that's basically the power of what the cloud that is coming, coming to the fore here.
Fantastic. I think, Kiran, that's a very good understanding about how you are facilitating the future and helping organization to accelerate. Sandeep, if I may ask you, what are the kind of ecosystems you are looking for in the future to work with, which would facilitate your, plans to that desired result?
Yeah, so as I touched upon earlier, I think as a part of ecosystem, if you can get some players who can help convert the knowledge in a vernacular language for the customer, I think that is one. Second, can you simplify the complex world of finance? Like still, I think I will say at least 80% of our customers may not understand what is derivatives, etc. How do you play that? And maybe then they get the notion saying that derivatives is a destructive instrument kind of a thing, but it can also be used for hedging purposes, etc. So I'm saying if you can get the fintech partnerships which can help in basically in a personal finance or can help in converting your information to a vernacular language, and if we can reach out to the masses, that is one. And second is for the sophisticated players, if you can also get the players who can help you devise your algo strategies, etc. So customer can tell you in a simple layman terms what do you expect him to do, what kind of rules is expecting, and the fintech player in the backend actually can code and give you that algo strategy. And that is something which I will not say every retail customer, but some sophisticated players may want to use it. Obviously, all the risk and all those parameters being taken care of. I'm saying I can just give you this couple of examples, which as a part of ecosystem, if you get those kind of fintech players, I think it can help in both ways. One, get more number of customers when I'm talking of tier 2, tier 3 cities kind of a thing. And second, if you want increased volume with minimal risk, etc., and volumes to grow up, then this algo strategies and all that. And I think Kiran touched upon this API based trading and all that. If you have already the things have started, but I think that will accelerate where the fintechs will come and help you actually devise all your algo strategies. It is still not full-fledged regulatory blessed kind of a thing. I think the regulatory guidelines are getting set in, but once those regulatory guidelines are set in, if the fintech players can come, and I think it can revolutionize the way the markets operate today as such.
Very interesting. Kiran, how are you building the ecosystem of the future?
That's a great question because we take a lot of pride in the ecosystem we have. So there are three things, Babu. One is, of course, the technology we bring to bear. The second is the solutions that are built on these technologies. And the solutions, like Sandeep was alluding to, right? It can be driven by fintechs, or it can be through another software vendor, an ISV play, right? And AWS prides that, it's the platform of choice for both of these partner sets, whether it is ISVs or fintechs, the largest fintechs you will find on AWS, right? And thirdly, what are we doing in terms of bringing both of these entities together? And we have a large partner network which can not just bring, because sometimes the solution is not just based on what one ISV or one fintech has to offer, but maybe stitching a whole bunch of solutions through multiple either services natively offered by AWS and AWS, for example, for the example that Sandeep was mentioning in terms of vernacular languages, AWS natively supports a few of them. but we have our partners in the ecosystem that have maybe at least 20 other languages that they support on top of the native services that AWS brings to bear. So I think the partner ecosystem that we have, and we have a whole team and a platform called the AWS platform, the Amazon Partner Network, that is focused on bringing these onto the ecosystem and making it available for customers like Sandeep and others to leverage, right? And this sort of amplifies the innovations also, because there's a whole bunch of things we are doing, specifically listening to customers like Sandeep, and we are, in spite of the scale that we are at, we are still innovating at scale. But to further complement this, we also have a whole bunch of partners in our ecosystem that are complementing what we are already doing and solving for problems like what Sandeep said in terms of support for vernacular languages. And what we have done is we have put dedicated investments in, these verticals and solving for it very specifically and bringing these solutions to our customers. And that commitment from us will continue to be there, Babu.
Wonderful. I think that was a good encapsulation of how you are creating the innovation journey. Innovation is a process. It is a continuous journey. I don't think it stops at a particular place. It is a constantly changing goalpost, whether it be regulations, whether it be compliance, whether it be growth. I'm sure that with the younger generation becoming more and more innovative, the capital markets have to get innovative, the financial sector has to get innovative, and the service providers like AWS have to get further innovative to lead the race and empower the people to newer realms of innovations. Thank you very much, Kiran, and thank you very much, Sandeep, for this wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Babu. Thanks for inviting.
Thanks, Babu. Thanks, Sandeep. And thank you both for a wonderful partnership.